I gave up one of the best classes in this expansion to keep raiding. If you played this game long enough, you know that's not a decision you make lightly. Affliction Warlock was my main character. It's what I raided with all of Mists of Pandaria Classic up to this point. It's the class I love. But halfway through Throne of Thunder, my guild put out a poll. Do we keep raiding in Siege of Orgrimmar? Of course I said yes on my Warlock, without even thinking about it. A few weeks later, my raid leader asked me a question that changed everything. Did I have backups ready, just in case? I did. Between my Warlock and two other characters, I had 3 raid-ready options. I just didn't think I'd actually need the other 2. This is the story of why I ended up re-rolling and how I landed on the class I main today. Before I even set foot in a dungeon, I did my homework. Back on the Mists of Pandaria Classic beta, I watched 3 basic guides, one for each Warlock spec: Demonology, Destruction, and Affliction. I wanted to know exactly what I was getting into before committing. I already knew going in that I loved Affliction. I ranked all 3 specs pretty close together. Demonology is actually solid, but Affliction and Destruction were the 2 I knew I'd be playing constantly. Once the beta wrapped and the real grind started, this character had been with me from day 1. Dungeons, gearing up, getting raid ready. And once it hit the raid, that's where it really clicked for me. Affliction Warlock in a raid setting, that's the gameplay I fell in love with. Siege of Orgrimmar hit, and I was eager to raid again. But when the rosters went up, reality hit me. My Warlock didn't have a full-time seat at the table. I had a choice to make. 2 of my alts were raid ready, a paladin and a monk. One of them was about to become my new main. I didn't want to guess, so I decided to play both for a while, in real raids before making the call. I started with the paladin. Retribution always had a reputation as one of the more forgiving specs to pick up. Solid burst, simple priority, hard to mess up. I ran 3 raids on it, and honestly, mechanically, it held up fine. I wasn't falling behind, I wasn't struggling to keep up with the rotation, but something was missing. The spark of "this is cool." Part of it came down to RNG. I get it. Every class has some randomness built in somewhere. That's just how the game works. But I didn't want to be a divine storm machine, just mashing one button over and over because it happened to be the highest DPS, even in single target. I wasn't excited to log in and play it. It just felt like a class I was borrowing, not one I actually wanted to main. By the 3rd raid, I already knew Paladin wasn't going to cut it, not because it was bad, but because I didn't enjoy it enough to spend hundreds of hours on it going forward. Then I switched to monk, and almost immediately something hit me differently. Windwalker's rotation had more going on. Think of it like spinning plates. Myrtle track, more to time, but instead of feeling like a chore, it felt like a puzzle I actually wanted to solve. And unlike Paladin, I had real options. I could weave in a priority damage while still handling boss damage. Instead of just picking one button and repeating it, the spark was there. The one I'd been missing on Paladin. Then I realized it's the spinning plate playstyle. Affliction has it, and even if it's not the same, Windwalker has it. A couple of raids in, I already knew where this was going. I wasn't just keeping up, I was actually looking forward to raid night. By the time my trial period on both classes wrapped up, there wasn't really a decision left to make, I already knew. But knowing it and actually sending the message were two different things. I sat there for a minute before typing it out because once I said it, it was real. No more testing, no more back and forth, that was it. I messaged my raid leader with a simple word: Monk. And honestly, the second I hit send, I felt lighter, like I'd carried this decision around for weeks and finally just put it out there. Picking Monk was one thing, but before I could really call it my main, I had 3 questions I needed to answer for myself. Not just whether I could play the class, but whether I could be the guy my raid leader could throw into any role or assign me to any job and trust it'll get done. Could I tank should we need one? Could I heal? And could I still hold my own on damage on top of all that? First question, could I tank? I'd raid healed and DPS'd on plenty of characters before, but tanking was still new ground for me. Brewmaster wasn't something I'd touched much outside of a few dungeons, so I put in the time, ran dungeons specifically to get comfortable with the rotation, positioning, cooldown management, all of it. Tanking isn't just about surviving, it's about controlling the pace of the fight. And that took some getting used to. By the time I felt ready to answer that question, I could say yes with confidence, not I'll figure it out if it comes up. Actually, yes, I got this covered if you need me there. One box shift. Could I heal? This one was easy. I'd raid healed on Monk before. To say I love it would be an understatement. Mistweaver got a rhythm to it that just clicks for me. Reading the raid, managing cooldowns, and honestly mana, that was really never a concern. Manatee gives plenty back, something like 60% of your mana at just 6 stacks of the spell. So as long as you play it right, you're never running dry mid-fight. Unlike tanking, this wasn't new ground I had to build from scratch. I already knew I could do it and do it well. 2 questions in and I hadn't hesitated once. Tank, covered, healed, I knew I could do it. Now come the one I was actually unsure about. Could I actually hold my own on damage? This was the one I wasn't sure about. Tanking had proven, healing I already knew. But DPS on Windwalker, that was still a question mark. So I put in the work, more raids, dungeons, just to get a real feel for it. Not theory crafting, actual practice. Actually seeing where I stacked up. And slowly, it started clicking. The rotation I talked about earlier, the spinning plates, weaving priority damage with boss damage, wasn't just fun anymore. It was actually working. My numbers were solid. Once I had that confirmation, I let my raid leader know. All 3 boxes were checked. My spot was assured. Looking back, this wasn't really about giving up Affliction. It was about chasing the same feeling somewhere else. That spinning plates playstyle I love, just wearing a different name. I proved I could tank, heal, and damage. 3 questions, 3 yeses. But here's the thing. I'm not actually done yet. Right now, I'm still on trial, still proving myself one more time on the class I chose. Some things don't really end, they just keep going. And I'm okay with that. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.